Niall McGrath and Tom Gannon, welcome to Brand Growth Heroes. Thanks so much for joining me today. You guys look like you're in a shed at the back of the garden, a very fancy looking shed at the back of the garden. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a log cabin that has become our home over the last, I suppose, 14 or 15 months.
Yeah.
Since we entered this mad world of COVID-19.
I know. And you've both had your negative PCR test in the last 24 hours. So you're allowed to sit that close together.
We're all clear.
We're all clear now and everything.
And you're looking, and I think you spend so much time together, the two of you, obviously over the last, I think since 1999 you've worked together. Is that right?
Yeah.
That you're actually starting to look more alike as you get, more kind of silvery grey, the silver grey foxes.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said that to you before?
Yeah, well, I think as I started to go grey, Niall stopped dyeing his hair. So that's maybe why we look more alike.
So listen, for those of our listeners around the world who don't know you guys yet, these two guys are legends in Irish CPG, FMCG, the FMCG world in Ireland. They have built a brand, a protein chocolate bar brand, to over 60 million euros in 2.5 years, the 2.5 years they were with that brand. And then they are now on a journey to build their second brand to over 50 million by the end of next year. And really, I wanted to talk to you about the journey that you did with Fulfill and the journey that you're now on with Cali Cali. And just start at the beginning. I don't usually go into the whole founder story thing on Brand Growth Heroes because there's so many podcasts out there who do that really well. But I think it's really important that we start back 1999. You're two, obviously very close mates. You've worked together for years. Let's hear how this all happened.
I'll
Go for it.
So I came out of college over to Australia for 4 years at Red Bull. Came back in 2003 and working with Richmond, the distributor of Red Bull. Went in there and worked my way up to marketing director.
And this is in Dublin, is it?
In Dublin, yeah. So worked with them, and then myself and Tom got together. We're working on, became friends, going out as you do.
Yeah.
And then it became such a couple of brands we were working on because it was a distribution company. One of them was a protein bar brand called Kinetica.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at it and we thought there's a real opportunity in this protein bar space to do something more than just selling to muscle bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Because it has great benefits that could have broader appeal. And we brought that idea, we worked out a whole concept, we broke down the 4 Ps, brought it to the board of after their biz dev manager who brought it to the board, and they looked at it and went, yeah, no thanks. So myself and Tom were deflated.
Yeah.
We came out of the room and we shook hands and said, let's just do it ourselves.
So you basically decided you're going to do it yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
what happened? How did you get the brand and the product worked out then?
We started jumping on flights, going to trade shows, and we ended up at a trade show in Cologne. And we were there and we were looking at a guy who could make similar bars to Quest. And we were they're called IMO bars, isomultiple. Anyway, can we get the benefits of that? But the guy also made chocolate bars. And we said, we get the benefits of that, but can we get the chocolate bars that you make, but you don't have at this trade show? And he goes, I suppose so. So we went back, we went home, and then we started playing around. So we literally went out, bought a Chomp bar.
Yeah.
Took the caramel off that.
Probably the UK, and a lot of people would know what a Chomp bar is, but we grew up eating Chomp bars, which is a chocolate
10p Chomp bars.
Absolutely.
10p Chomp bars, with beautiful caramel, nice chocolate, and then underneath the kind of base. And then we took the caramel off that. We took Rice Krispies and we mashed them in, and then we put the chocolate on the top. And we said, right, and we wrapped it up in a cling film, sent it off to the bar manufacturer. Says, look, can you make us that? And with this spec deck.
Okay. All the best of ingredients. So we asked for the super duper whey protein and everything.
Yeah. Whey protein isolate, vegan, and it's like 2014. Vegan, gluten-free, and they go, yeah, we can make that. It's £6 a bar.
So retail price about €15. So we need to reposition.
So but from that we developed our best-selling bar, which was our peanut and caramel bar, and that we launched with that and 3 other bars in January of 2016.
So January 2016, you launched, and what was your first customer?
Our first customer was Circle K, which would have been Topaz,
petrol stations.
Yeah, petrol stations, which had a roughly around 147 stores. And then I suppose being in the industry for over 20 years, I built a lot of goodwill, a lot of, I suppose, work colleagues became more than work colleagues. And we took a step back and we said, how can we make this brand feel bigger than, getting into 4,000 distribution points? So we used a strategy called Heart and Veins. And within the Heart, you've got some really key influential retailers that would have high footfall in Dublin city centre, Cork, Galway, and Belfast. So the likes of Seamus Griffin, Thomas Ennis, these are the legends in retail, got right behind us, supported us. So we got into roughly around 55 key retail stores and our forecourt channel. Overnight, the brand felt massive, but we were only trading.
So you decided, you said to yourselves, all right, we need to, if we're going to launch this, we need to look really big. And we're going to do that by deciding exactly where we're going to play. Now, can I ask you a question? How did you decide what it was going to look like in store? Was that part of your strategy? Your looking big strategy?
100%.
Okay, so talk to everyone listening to this about what was it going to look like and what did it end up looking like? So you weren't just sitting like 5 SKUs somewhere on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'm going to take a step back. So we used to do a piece of research every year with Red Bull. And overall, we spent about 7 million quid in the Irish market. About a million and a half of us at that stage was going on advertising and events as well, all the big Red Bull events. And about 500,000 was going on POS. And every year, 53% of our total pie of sources of awareness was POS.
Okay.
So we went, hang on a second, if I'm ever going to own my own brand, at the start, the one thing I'm definitely going to invest money on is POS, because not only does it drive awareness, but it's also a point of purchase, and it's
a shop within a shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So knowing that, and then we were also big fans of Byron Sharp, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners would listen to, and we would have taken his
step by step,
basically his 7 steps that he have in his book, How Brands Grow. And we literally had a checklist of 7 things, and we checked them off one by one.
So there was a really systematic kind of intellectual approach to this as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to add to that, I suppose the key for us, when 99% of brands go on point of sale or fixture, it's got to be on promotion.
Yeah.
And for us, that could not happen.
Okay.
We had to establish a price point because we were establishing in our eyes a new category, which was subcategory 2 confectionery.
Okay.
But if we'd fell into the world of being classified as a confectionery bar, we would have needed to give confectionery margins. And unfortunately, when you've got a double the price of a chocolate bar, to give that percentage margin, it just wouldn't happen. Work. So in value terms, we were given a much higher cash margin.
Okay.
But we launched at full price, which was absolutely key on POS. So we would have paid for rate cards. And normally, as you submit in and on your rate cards, it's like, hey, we're at this price. Where for us, that was the key to launch this brand.
So talk to me about, it's 2000 and what now, 14, is it?
16.
I'm a consumer, I'm a shopper. I walk into Circle K or some of those Spar shops that you mentioned, yeah? What do I see that first couple of months of launch, and how much is it?
Big, yellow, 5-foot displays, full drop of bars.
Which would have, I suppose, worked with the retailer as well. So when we created the point of sale, we'd even taken that step back and asked them for dimensions, what can work for longevity, what type of material should we use. So normally most pieces of freestanding units you're getting 4 weeks out of, where we invested even an extra into the quality of the product.
So you knew it would stand the time, it would stand the test of time. So how many SKUs did you launch that in at once? So 4 SKUs on a massive shipper that was going to last long and was going to stay in that store, and it was going to be boom, we're big and we're here.
And with the real key messages are 3 bubbles of low sugar, protein.
Okay. I can't remember what did we have with the turbine at the time. I think there was
vitamins.
Full multivitamin.
And how much was it, the bar at that point?
€2.50.
And so the nearest equivalent that people were buying, so whoever ended up picking up that bar, what would they have bought instead beforehand?
To be honest,
there was nothing really. Like, this is the first one that goes into.
But like a Snickers.
Snickers, 125. So we were double the price
Double the
of
price of
anything
the
out there.
chocolate.
Okay. So very quickly after the first year, what were your sales?
So we sold 13.8 million units, which was purely based on the capacity we could only take from the facilities. So, I mean, we initially set out running 30,000 bars of each product.
Yeah.
And within 3 months, we were running 300,000 bars of each product on each production run. But I suppose the CapEx wasn't in Europe to keep up with the demand.
Okay.
But for both myself and Noel, having the FMCG experience and understanding forecasting and longevity, we were the guys where I suppose our biggest competitors would have been people in sports nutrition, and fantastic guys. They understand our business model, but they wouldn't be thinking in March about an October volume where
you're going to need CapEx.
And we just locked it down all the lines with real POs. And so I suppose we swallowed up the volume that was available in Europe. But
the capacity in Europe, we could look into people's order books and say, right, well, look, you only have 100 million capacity on your line. Show us your order book. Okay, you're only booked out to here. We'll actually take those slots all the way out.
So you were trading in futures almost. You were booking everybody out in terms of all the factories who could make your stuff.
Yeah, there was only 3 factories around the whole of Europe that could actually do what we needed to do. And so as people were looking at our success, we were kind of going, well, we don't want copycat products coming in and stealing our lunch. So we locked it all down.
So we often talk about, the stages of growth of a business. And most of the time that first, year, 2 years, 18 months is very slow, and it's in independents and specialty retailers or Whole Foods in the UK or whatever. You guys went mainstream and you went big very, very quickly. How much were you turning over per month in those first few months? Do you remember? Must have been in the hundreds of thousands, right?
Oh, easily.
Easily, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's amazing. And did you expect that?
We expected both knew something special. And we were both very fortunate with our backgrounds of working within Richmond Marketing, that it was a company that was all about discovering trends and discovering brands that were going to create a new category. So, we were working with Vita Coco back many, many years ago. People laughed at, trying to sell
coconut water to the Irish.
I mean, it was.
We launched Hendrick's Gin. We launched Peroni.
Okay. So in terms of big launches, right, in terms of execution, and the reason I keep harping on about this is because one of the whole premises of this podcast is that it's not just about brand purpose or brand promise, It is about getting everything right in terms of the execution, in terms of how you do things, the people that help you, which wheels you use, what you're going to look like in store, which category you're positioned in. You guys had all of that on a checklist and you were making sure it was happening.
100%. That's what we did
That's what you did day to day beforehand.
Sales and marketing.
Okay.
So we were kind of going through the usual kind of thing. And look, as you said, it's not just, yes, you have to have a great brand purpose. It comes back to the 4 Ps. And it has to be, place is one of them. You have to be there.
But there has to be
in danger of being sold.
Trend as well. I mean, there has to be a want from the consumer that they are looking to make. You're moving into something that it suits them with lifestyle.
Now I've got a question on that. So protein bars, right? I'm thinking of a coffee shop in Blackrock in County Dublin, and it's got like a wall of, it's that beautiful one, there's a Bear Market, and it's got that wall of protein bars, right? And it doesn't have any other really type of confectionery other than handmade chocolate bomby stuff. But you could sit there, or you could sit beside Mars or Snickers, right?
Yeah.
In terms of who buys Fulfill or who bought Fulfill back then, was it more like the CrossFitter, or was it the Snickers person who didn't buy Snickers too often because they felt guilty?
Yeah, it's like for us, we always had the analogy of, we're within arm's reach of desire, where that would be Noel using that. I'd say wherever there's cash register, we're on sale. And we believed.
So it didn't really matter, did it?
To be honest, we definitely tapped into. Our belief was that we were bringing an incremental consumer. We were bringing people that abstained away from eating chocolate and bringing them back into the category. And we proved that by the data that we'd seen through Topaz's Redemptions, and
Tesco. We could also look at the
Dunnhumby.
Tesco data, because Dunnhumby, you can actually see the abstainees you were bringing back into it. So it was proven. It wasn't just.
But why were they?
We started.
Yeah. Why were they abstaining? Abstaining because they
because
were
of the sugar content.
So actually, the entrance point was sugar, not necessarily I'm an athlete.
No. Like 14% of all protein bars are only bought by people that
are looking to get protein.
Okay, so tell me that again. 14%. 14%.
Yeah, 86% of the bars that are sold in that category are done by people who are looking for a healthier option with a bit of chocolate.
Oh, okay, that's what I've been looking for months. That data,
and that was the aha moment that we had when we were standing on that stand. It was like, I think this is grand, and people want a chocolate bar without the guilt.
Yeah. Okay,
and that's really what it was. Then.
I suppose the more research that we did, the more we got to understand why people were coming into. We didn't have all the answers from the outset, but we knew from our packaging we could appeal to the mainstream, which was absolutely key. But a lot of women were using the product, and even from the protein, it was suppressing their appetite. So it was, I suppose,
another functional role.
Absolutely. And we always said from the outset to people, eat real food. This is a snack where a lot of people are coming back and saying, oh, I had 2 bars for my dinner when we do a trade show.
No,
but it's, but it's, go on, you can have that, just do that 5 days a week. But,
So let's get back to the phases then. So that first year, I think you said to me in our prep call, in the first rolling 12 months or something, you were at 30 million retail sales.
Yeah. And I suppose if that was measured, why I suppose we achieved that was because we looked at all distribution points equal. So I would look at pharmacy for credibility. Primark was just one of the I suppose, aha moments for us to really meet sitting in front of their board of directors and saying, hey, would you sell a chocolate bar in your store? And I said, this is not going to take away from people buying knickers and bras. It's a fully incremental sale. And we saw, without divulging in the number, but they had in retail value, a 7-digit figure going through their tills. And I suppose for us, that will never get measured on Nielsen, and it will never get measured. But we found all these other distribution
sports nutrition, like Leighton Sports Nutrition
were just instrumental for us between online platforms. And we really just, I suppose, said this brand can sell wherever there's a cash register. And
because it was multifaceted.
Yeah, and it wasn't
to lots of different people at different times.
And that's not just for Fulfill. There's many, many brands out there that sometimes the strategy overtakes I suppose, where the vision and the end game is, and you sometimes need to take that step back and not be too protective of your brand, because the consumer is a consumer, and that need sometimes is in a clothes shop, or that need is in a pharmacy, or it is in a coffee shop,
and that came back from Boyer & Share. That was one of the 7 things there was mentally was that kind of mental availability.
Yeah, and obviously, if you're in Primark where there's no other chocolate bar, but people are out there to having a nice day out, or a moment that the girl is having a moment where she's treating herself a little bit, I might as well pick that up as well. It's brilliant, because then in terms of mental availability, there is nothing else to take away from.
When we were chatting from this, and people go in to spend €5 and 5 minutes, and they spend €50 on an hour. And so when they're in that twisty queue, they might have to run back to work or whatever, and they can grab it and go.
The other thing about that is that we all make shopping decisions in a frame, and the price frame is in Primark is 5 to 25 quid. So a Fulfill bar at 2 is really cheap compared to a 5 quid thing. Yeah, whereas if you're in a supermarket and a Snickers is 1.25 and a Fulfill is 2, it's a different price frame. So really clever. Relative. Yeah, really clever move. So what would you say? What would you say were the big changes that you had to make at the end of that first phase of the business? So at this stage, you've got Richmond. You're in Richmond marketing at this stage, aren't you?
Yeah, and we both were in full-time roles, and again, really, really fortunate that we were allowed, I suppose, have the journey of creating a brand and having the safety net of being 2 senior people in an organisation that was just, I suppose, bang on trend and you had that vested interest to right, let's see how this goes. After 2 months, we just knew that we've got to put our full-time efforts into this. And
I remember we were standing actually at the
we were
trade show
doing
for
the
BWG.
BWG trade show, and we had a really cool display there.
We better say what that is. BWG.
BWG would be
Spars.
1100 convenience between Spar, Eurospar, Mace, Londis, and Excel.
So you're at the trade show.
We're at the trade show. We've got a fantastic display. Within 2 hours, we had taken orders in, which probably was equivalent to both our annual salaries combined. And we looked at one another and said, right, we really need to double down on this and put all our focus in. So we were very fortunate again that we had a very smooth exit out of the business. So I've been working, heading up the whole national accounts team at that stage and sitting on the management team. I'd have been heading up the marketing team. So we over a 3-month period, got our positions replaced with, I have to say, there was a couple of people who had to take my role. And then we just absolutely started into phase 2, was looking at the international side of it and export.
Okay. So then which market did you tackle first?
So
22
simultaneously, yeah.
22 markets that year.
Yeah,
over the next 12 months.
I suppose we've proven the success with Circle K, which allowed us then to get into the Scandinavia market with those guys.
Australia, Middle East.
Australia would have been the following year.
Yeah.
Middle East, we started the seeding on that. UK, we started some discussions in the UK. Iceland, through a good friend of ours, Gary Lavin and VitHit.
No, Gary well.
And Gary had opened the door for us there. Through Barry Conley, who was our partner in the business, through his connections in Red Bull, opened the door for Benelux through a distributor out there. So we'd all these balls, everything going together at the same time, which was just mental.
So the business is going gangbusters and you're in the tens of millions of sales and it's become international. We're probably midway through 2018 then, was it, when you guys decided to go and do something else, to go and do something different?
Yeah, we decided.
And at that point you were at about, I think the brand was at about 60 million in sales, wasn't it?
Yeah, at retail sales in 2017, would have been at 60 million.
2.5 years in, you had built a business that was like, I think, in the top 5 confectionery brands in Ireland, right? Yeah. So imagine in the UK what the equivalent size would be. And it was, around 60 million in sales. And the Irish market is 19 times smaller than the UK grocery market, right?
Mm-hmm. And to add to that, we were in the top 50 brands.
Top 50, all brands, okay.
Of all brands. So to say that we were outselling Kellogg's Cornflakes was probably one of our proudest moments as a bigger brand in the Irish market after 2.5 years.
So just an incredible success story. And the brand, obviously, since you're not involved in it anymore, but it's still it's one of the leaders in the category, isn't it, in Ireland? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it still in the UK?
Still doing extremely well in the UK.
And all down to the 2 of you. So well done, as we'd say back home, Bula Boss, which means massive round of applause in Irish. We use it for everything back home. And so then you decided to go and do this all over again, didn't you?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
We had actually a couple of different ideas. We explored about 3 different ideas. This one was kind of jumping out at us because we could see. We travel an awful lot between our different roles down through the years. And one of the things we noticed was that we would go over to New York look for trends. But every time we went to New York, we realized, the first time we went to New York, we realized that no trends actually start there. They all go there to get distribution and finance and whatever else. It's a good place to discover them. Most of the trends were starting on the West Coast.
Okay.
California and Portland, Seattle, that kind of place. And we noticed that there was 2 trends that were really, really prominent. One was a mega trend around health and wellness, healthy eating, which obviously we were already 2 feet into that one. But that had started in the 80s in California. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was around street food and the kind of foods of the world. And again, this had really kind of come to the fore in California because you have all this melting pot of cultures living in a city of 8 million people.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing which we noticed was these street food trucks. When you actually went to California in 2014, 15, the street food truck phenomenon, which has really taken off now in Ireland over COVID, it was already forced. Yeah, it was way out there. And it's real proper chefs. And I'm not talking, burger van guys. Proper chefs were actually taking over what were burrito vans and decking them out as top end restaurants on wheels.
And a lot of them were forced into the situation because of the rents and the rates that were out there. So I think they just got to the point of saying, am I in the business to make some money, or am I in the business to pay this out in bills every month?
Yeah. So we said, well, what if you could actually bring those two worlds together? So you had the mega trend around, food's the world, street food and healthy eating. And if you think about like 1980s Unilever umbrella kind of style brands, what if we could actually create a global brand which basically stood for, when you saw big orange Cali logo, that it stood for great taste or street food kind of flavors, which you trust.
Yeah.
And it was healthy, and then had a California cool vibe of it. And wouldn't that be great? Because how many times have you been disappointed when you go into the kind of healthy oil, you pick up a product, try it, and you go,
totally,
it tastes like grass, I'm not going to eat that. You go to the next one, and you've got you really need someone to kind of cut through all that and give you a brand that you can trust. No matter what category of product you go into, you're always going to get a great tasting product, and it's going to be healthy. And that's where the concept came from. So we said, right, that's a $1 billion idea if it comes off.
I want to give them credit for the name. So
we were driving around California and we were listening to the radio, and on came Biggie Small singing and going back to Cali. And we said, California flavors, California health benefits, Cali. Boom. On to Tompkins. Lock it down.
Lock it down.
All over the world.
And can I just ask a question? Were you looking for $1 billion idea? Was that your...
We were looking for something that was going to really excite us, that had longevity and had the ability to be an umbrella brand. So we could play in a multitude of categories, but we didn't feel like we were out of place. So if you take a step back and you walk into the street food market and you see, artisan style chocolate bars, right? Well, if we can create something that has full clean deck, vegan, it's gluten-free, right? We can do that. With our sauces, our bottles feel like they come from the street food market. The flavors feel like they come from that. It's a clean deck, and they're the flavors of the world.
Sure.
With our snacking, within our super snacks range, and with our fava beans and our chickpeas, again, you can visualize that in the street food market. So everything that we just felt we could play in so many subcategories, but all under the one brand. And that's both excited us massively there.
Thomas, remind, we actually had a room and we created a brand world of what a street food market would look like. Mm-hmm. And then our team, our visuals, our theming, our products, everything had to look and feel like it was coming from an LA street food market. Okay. And if it did that, then it got
a tick.
So even down to our bottle for our sauces, where we've gone with a cap that feels and looks like it's a wooden cap, but it's not a wooden cap.
Let's talk products and ranges now. So, because you've done a really good job of describing this cross-category play. You said, right, we want to do something that we want the next big thing for us. It has to excite us. It's got to be a cross-category play. It's got to be global, and it's got to be something that
consumer wants.
That the consumer wants. And so it's health and wellness, but it's also taste and flavour and, the street food market. Which categories have you decided to go into? And hold up some products and show us.
Oh, yeah, okay. So.
Yeah. So for you describe what you're holding as well, so that the people listening can hear.
Yeah. So with our sauces, we played in, I suppose we've gone with what people resonate with. So peri peri, people know peri peri. So for us, we've done a clean deck, tastes great, no additives, no preservatives, no MSGs. We've seen the movement on chicken wings. So we've created our Frisco chicken wing sauce.
Yeah.
We've created a Chipotle. And we try to have some of those flavors within our sauces replicated then in our crisps, which are made with chickpeas, green beans.
Hold up the pack as well. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, this is Cali Cali, everybody, for you haven't seen it yet. Okay, super. Thank you.
So for people who are watching on the YouTube podcast,
that's enough rattling of that crisp packet beside my microphone, please.
We've got a really kind of clean. So this is made of chickpea flour, flour, black beans, green beans, yellow beans. Really, really healthy. And then it's all of our seasoning we create bespoke, and
that's probably a big thing to talk about. Where the difference with our seasoning, we're not just buying off the shelf. Like, we created this from genuinely with Kerry ingredients over an 18 months, and we were very fortunate again that the Kerrys are dealing with the massive multinationals, and Tom and Oil, getting the red carpet off them was definitely humbling. And they were just absolutely fantastic from the outset. And working with their new product development team, who have got years of experience.
Yeah, world class.
World class.
We had a Michelin star chef working this.
For us, I suppose, naturally being Irish, and these being one of the biggest success stories in Ireland, Kerry ingredients, it really feels natural. Yeah.
But these, just come back to the seasoning, just to give you an example, like that's all natural seasoning. So if you have a smoked flavor of that, these guys are at a different level. They've actually bought a company that can infuse water with a smoky flavor. So it's all natural. So there's nothing in here which is synthetically produced or artificial. And that goes through the whole range, whether it's our sauces.
Okay.
And again, they're all lower in calories, better for you. We're not trying to be,
sin free.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're fortunate. And again, we do take the credit for it. With Slimming World, we come in sin free on most of our sauces.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We tell everybody we set that out from the outset.
Yeah, I actually meant SIN free, which is like rather than SYN free is Slimming World, which is an Irish kind of Weight Watchers equivalent. Yeah, and their points aren't Weight Watchers points, they're sins, and it's SYN. But you are actually SYN free for most of your products. Yeah, God, that's something else. That's a really great thing to be. So okay, so how many ranges are out there right now, and what's your run rate?
So we launched in September 2019. We launched with a range of 5 sauces and 4 crisps in impulse. We got out of the traps with a good start.
What's a good start? Come on, make us salivate.
When I say from distribution, I mean, we would have come out of the traps with around 600-700 distribution points in September. A run rate of around 200K.
A month,
yeah.
And this is all in Ireland, right?
This is only in Ireland, yeah. That was September, and everything was going swimmingly well. And then we hit March.
So March came along.
We'd forecasted naturally, which is part of our model. So you're forecasting out 16 weeks at any given time. You're holding 12 weeks stock at any given time. And you're using a heart and vein strategy that you've got predominantly an over-reliance on impulse and forecourts. And come the 20th of March,
we had a warehouse
2020, we had no consumers that were able to shop in them accounts. And we had a warehouse of product with a fantastic run rate for those 6 months. And we'd spent heavily on marketing to really try to drive our awareness. And, it was a shaky moment that both of us, said, right, look, we need to refocus. We need to take a deep breath here, and we need to see where we're going. And we didn't figure that out after a week. It took us probably a good month to get our heads around where we were going. But we knew we had a problem, and a problem which I suppose if we weren't as...
long in the tooth and around the block. We had good dates. We had 12 months on our crisps, which is
it's better than 21 days in yogurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So we worked our way through that issue.
But I suppose it's worth talking about how we worked our way through it, and that was, as I said, it showed that both of us could be truly rounded entrepreneurs, and where we were back to basics. We were both, I suppose, done extremely well from our exit from Fulfill, and But that meant nothing. It was about succeeding and ensuring this brand could navigate its way through.
Niall, what did you do then? Tell us what you actually had to do.
We hired a van and a couple of vans, and we ended up selling to ice cream vans in parks where people were flocking to. We
Pop-up restaurants.
We repositioned with seeing a lot of people putting the green jersey on and shopping local. So we started then to hunt down every single butchers in the country. We knew people, their habits were changing, and they became, I suppose, time rich and cash poor, and they were cooking from home. So we said, if we can get ourselves into 300 or 400 new distribution points where the consumer is going, and thankfully we did it, and we got through.
So go on, Niall.
So no, and at the same time, what we did was we basically we did a deal with the Boyne Valley Group as well. So basically, because what we realised was there was a big opportunity for us to actually, because we had a great tasting product, even with COVID and whatnot, we could see the product had real resilience and real legs. So great taste, and then we also had lots of opportunities coming at us, and we were saying, right, how do we actually boil these down, and what are the ones we should focus on? And we were looking at potentially taking in EIS, which is the same as EIS in the UK. But we were thinking, we're going to have to put all of that into people and building out a team to basically do front, middle, and back office kind of functions. And we decided that the best way actually to go in with the strategic partner who actually had all of these actually built in. So we actually pulled together, and we've done a deal with Boyne Valley, who are a huge Irish business.
They'd be a bit like Premier Foods, wouldn't they, in the UK?
Very similar, yeah. And
except nicer, much nicer.
They genuinely are. They're really nice people. Yeah. So culturally, we've gone on like a house on fire with the CEO initially, and then the rest of the team, and we've done a deal with them. And then off the back of that, we're now looking at going into, I think 5 strategic markets and a load of other trading markets. And we've launched 3 new products. So we've launched our Cali Super Bars.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see on screen there.
Cali Super Snacks,
which are amazing.
What are the snacks?
So these are roasted chickpeas, fava beans, coming in at roughly around 100 calories.
Can I just say that I haven't actually received a box of any of these samples yet?
We'll get them to you now before you go
DPD. We're giving out about DPD. It's their fault. We will have it over within the next week.
That is good.
What we've done here with these super snacks is actually we've taken our flavours that we've developed with Perry and Greaves, and we're using them on these snacks. So honestly, these are, when you have that moment where you had your first, I don't know, for me it was the first Red Bull, the first Copperberg, whatever, and it stops you in your tracks, and you turn around to your friend, you got to try this.
Okay.
That's the same moment you're going to have when you try these for the first time when you get them.
Cannot wait to try them. So you've got all these products. Sorry, that's me knocking my mic there. We've got all these products coming out. What kind of run rate are you doing? Now, I just want to make people salivate here, because I've got all these fabulous scaling brands listening to this, and I want to show them what's possible if you do it a certain way.
So I suppose from launching, from concept to getting on the shelves in September 2019 to the end of 2020, we would have had 3 million plus retail. This year, we're aiming and we're tracking at a minimum 10 million. And
10 million in your first full year, so
proper with all your kind of ducks in a row.
And your vision for the end of year 3? 50 million, and that's in Europe.
And I mean, some of the distribution partners we will be lining up with that is agreed at this stage now.
Okay.
But I suppose for us, we can't run too fast from a production side of it. We've got to have all our manufacturers lined up. We could be trading in Germany as of now. We could be trading in Canada as of now. We could be trading in Australia as of now. But we're just not in a position today until we have every manufacturer, I suppose, fully aligned with our growth plans.
And that 50 million, what percentage of sales will Ireland be in that 50 million?
15.
Only 15%.
Only 15.
You're such the sales guy. You're just that man. You are so on the numbers, aren't you? You are all
absolutely
over the numbers. I remember at the beginning of this when you said, and in that first year we'd sold 30.8 something or other. I'm thinking he'd even remember it in 2016 what the exact decimal point
Imagine
was.
him trying to get some marketing spent through me. It's just not happening. It's all about the budget is the Bible. You've got to follow it. Oh, absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah. But people listening to this, this is the kind of guy you need running your commercial team. If this is the brief.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty big stuff. You've decided to go with another partner this time. You haven't just gone it alone, right? Two guys and built your team, which you said in an earlier call would have taken you maybe 2 million to build the front, the back, and the middle office. What has been really important for you in terms of getting into bed with Boyne Valley? What are the things that you've learned? And, we're not looking backwards at any particular situation, but what things have you tried to do differently this time?
I suppose it's important that there's a balance in your life. And if you've got a family, you've got to ensure that you're keeping them on the journey and you've got that bit of time that you're doubling down and focusing on. Because you will burn yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to realise that if you want the whole grape, the chances of it happening is, the odds are massively stacked against you. So if you'd like a big piece of the melon, it's definitely having that partner that has the proven success of having the back and middle office that's going to ensure you can just plug and play into their model.
Okay.
For me personally, that was absolutely the
yes, it's key. As Tom said, you're better off having a big slice of the melon than all of a little grape. And I think we learned that on our last journey. We also take a lot of cues from tech industry and how people actually scale in that, and we're looking at that and saying, right, well, that's how they do it over there. Maybe there's something we can learn over here. Actually listen to podcasts like yours. That particular quote was actually from Giles Brook, and that actually genuinely that influenced us. And you listen and you go, he's got a point,
Yeah.
So there's listen to we speak to Giles, so we know him well from our Vita Coco days actually.
Okay.
And he's listen to these guys in the industry and take. If they've done it before, maybe something you can learn from them.
What about partnership wise, though? I mean, what do you do to make sure that you stay friends, that everything continues to go well in the future? What do you look out for? Because there'll be lots of people thinking about this.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into bed with somebody else. I mean, what do you have to look out for?
Yeah, I suppose it's peeling it. I suppose back to, if you want to be a big brand, you've got to act like a big brand and you've got to spend like a big brand, and you really have to get your head around that. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to be standing in an artisan store on a Saturday with a white hat in your head, sampling. And of course, there is that 1 in a million, the same as 1 in a million footballers that make it. But I suppose the question, Fiona, yes, you've got to be very clear from the outset of what the vision is, that both parties are there. You've got to have a very, very clear shareholders agreement, and within that shareholders agreement, of course, you've got to protect yourself, and you can't get into bed with someone today and unfortunately get hit by a bus tomorrow, and someone else who steps into their position could have a different outlook on that deal. So shareholders agreements are really important, and they're expensive, but they're absolutely worth their weight in gold. And it gives you the comfort of being able to go to bed and sleep at night. But I suppose you do have to see the history of the partner that you're getting into bed with and seeing the appetite of, or the proven success they've done with other brands. So
are they smart money, or are they dumb money?
Yeah,
You want to bring in smart money that's going to help you to grow, rather than just doctor and dentist money that's just going to sit there and not actually add an awful lot of value beyond the actual dollars and cents.
Listen, I could talk to you guys for days and weeks. I feel like there's so much to learn, and one of the things I've been sitting here thinking for the last kind of 4 or 5 minutes is, it's almost, when you're talking about the plug in and play, it almost feels crazy when I'm thinking about, you know, the size of the startup industry in the UK in food and beverage. And you know, I'd be getting to know a lot of them through the course I run, the growth strategy program and stuff. And you think, God, why aren't more people doing this? What you're doing? Why are so many people trying to do it alone? It's as if we don't even necessarily consider that this is an option.
Absolutely.
And when you and I, you know, you guys and I, having worked in big companies, and you know just how complicated it is to get a product onto shelf and make it sell. And you know, it's the top of the iceberg is the sales and marketing, really. You know, whether it's the accounting and the delivery and the finance and the ops and the cash flow. When you think about it, you think, why is everybody trying to be experts in all of these things?
And that's it's and you know, when I suppose we took this step back last April, May, and we'd started the process on EWIS, and the interest was absolutely insane, and probably based on both our histories that, you know, we were a safer bet for the money, and we just took that moment and said, right, based on the budget here, we're putting someone into supply chain, which is really only going to be working 15, 20 hours a week based on our current run rates. We put somebody else into another role. We didn't need these people at that stage fully. And, you know,
it just makes sense. That's what it boils down to,
absolutely. You know? And I'm supposed to add to it, you know, even to build a team out for 2 years, it's not your area of expertise. So you're still going to need to find someone that's going to manage 10 people on top of that. And you just have to take that step back and say to yourself, well, am I going to be more productive? Can I put my energies? Do I want to achieve the end goal faster? And sometimes the opportunities do pass you if you don't jump on the wave early. So
I think the thing that we're probably pretty good at is realizing what we're good at and what we're maybe average at.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything we're necessarily bad at. We kind of muddle our way through most things. But the areas we're really, I think, strong in is marketing, export. We can add an awful lot of value there, and new product development. And they're the three areas that we 100% control and still control, because they're the areas that we and our new partners have agreed that that's where we're going to add the most value. And I think maybe when listening to you, they're talking about maybe that's that kind of key point to get across to your listeners. Maybe what are you really world class at, and maybe focus on that rather than just trying to be the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And maybe bring in a partner who can actually be good at those other things that you're maybe not as world class at.
Well, I think on that note, we're going to wrap up because I've kept you for so long. But I honestly think that I feel kind of almost this wow moment here where there's a potentially another way out there for lots of companies, hopefully listening to this, who might even if they just considered it or played with it for a while, it's worth considering that there is another way to do this. Guys,
Fiona, the last thing I add to it is when we did launch in September 2019, our distributor that we went within the Irish market took a small stake in our company. So I suppose when you want someone that's there in the trenches with you, these guys have a vested interest. So sometimes people have to realize with distributors that you know, they're absolutely fantastic at what they do. But, you know, for us to change their mindset about being involved with the brands, something they never done for 20 30 years. And it was probably the most exciting journey them guys had for their 12.
So having skin in the game changes their mindset completely. So there's as we're thinking points, there's multiple ways of skin in the cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Depending on your stage of development.
You guys are amazing. You really are. And I'm so glad we've got the chance to meet. I'm going to, watch with like enormous interest and passion your journey with Cali Foods. I'll put all the links to your Instagram and your website on the podcast episode links. Thank you so much for giving me all this time today and for doing the PCR test and getting the home studio set up. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Brilliant.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Fiona. Appreciate it. Cheers.